and it was brought up to New York, to the court there. Her name is April Gallup. She was an employee of the Pentagon. I've spoken to her. She was at the Pentagon on 9/11. She and her baby, who was with her that day, suffered some injuries, and they were suing the Pentagon. But the judge threw out the case because he thought that was such an outrageous thing. She claimed to have crawled out to where all this fire was raging and the aircraft had hit. The judge threw out the case, so that the plaintiff's attorney told the judge, well, you know, it's not outrageous. A lot of people haven't heard about the fall of Building 7. And the judge said, building what? So a judge in New York did not know about Building 7 that collapsed in 7 seconds, about 5:30 in the evening. How many minutes do I have left?
You've got about 10 minutes left.
Oh, lots of them.
Actually, no, 7 minutes left.
Okay.
All right.
Again, the Pentagon renovation folks, they go on. The height of the damage to this is the Pentagon's own contractors. The height of the damage to the facade of the building was much less than the height of the aircraft's tail. At approximately 45 feet, the tail height was nearly as tall as the first 4 floors of the building. Obvious visible damage extended over the lowest 2 floors to about 25 feet. Most likely the wings of the aircraft were severed as the aircraft penetrated the facade of the building. But there were no wings outside. We've already been told in the Pentagon transcripts, there are no wings outside, and their own engineers are telling that the wings would have been outside had the plane come in that way. Now, the case so far that I've made is based on the Pentagon's own records, official records, Arlington County Pentagon transcripts. Now I'll go on to some scientific evidence, 2 items only. Any one of them is sufficient to discredit the entire official story. And I wish I had graphs, but I mean, access to that, but I'll explain it with my hands in a small diagram. The first thing is the flight path of the alleged Flight 77 of Boeing 757. Let's imagine Pentagon's right here, and this plane is coming in to the west wall. That path is given in the official reports of the government. It involves coming over a communications tower, and I have the exact height here somewhere. And the official report says the plane came over that communications tower. Then it has to cross Route 27, which is about at least 15, 20 feet above grade of the Pentagon. And then it has about 150 yards left to level off of Boeing 757. Now that plane then comes from about 1,400 yards away over the top of this tower, and then hits the Pentagon. Now, if you're a pilot, imagine you've got about a 15, 20-foot solid barricade at the end of the runway. You're asked to come in at 530 miles an hour, level off within 150 yards, so that the top of the fuselage is 20 feet above ground, according to official reports. That's impossible. Even the most experienced pilot can't do that, let alone Hani Hanjour, whose own instructors in the official reports tell us he couldn't fly at all. Second thing, let's say there was such a pilot, impossible as it may be, and was able to do that. When it made this transition from downward flight to level flight, it would encounter what are called G-forces, the force of gravity, like you do on a roller coaster when you do that. Well, that G-force, if you calculate it, using the flight data recorder information that pilots for 9/11 Truth collected after 2-3 years of litigation or whatever, they have done simulations of that. I have an Arlo and more simulation. They've done various simulations. That simulation, with their information, you can calculate the radius of that arc where they level off. And then using very simple formulas from physics, which even high school students know, the force of gravity at that point will be roughly 33 times the force on the plane would be roughly 33 G, 33 times the force of gravity. I don't think any military aircraft can withstand it, let alone a civilian aircraft. It would disintegrate right there. The whole aircraft, the wings, everything would fall right there if you attempt. So this is a hard scientific fact that nobody can explain away using their own information. And in the last 2 or 3 minutes that I have, I'll give you one more scientific fact, and this is even easier to explain. All the official reports, let's say again, here's the Pentagon wall. All the official reports show the plane coming in at about a 45-degree angle and going into the Pentagon. And then they show the damage path. I've got floor plans of every floor there, which polar columns were completely demolished, which were only partially destroyed, etc. I've got the whole, and the whole diagram, damage path, is directly in line with the flight path. Now, scientifically, that's impossible. Let me tell you why. Let's say I've got a, let's say this plane here is the solid wall in front of me. I'm coming in with my wings at an angle hitting at 45 degrees. The moment that right wing hits, I will swivel around. And the damage path cannot possibly be in line with the flight path, except for perhaps something smaller like a missile or something. Yeah. So, I mean, these facts, it's, if you think about them, it doesn't take much thinking to completely discredit the official report just from simple science and the official record. You don't even have to go to witness testimonies, and we've got some of those, but that alone is sufficient. And with that, I hope I've done it in time.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Masud. You did so well. We actually might have time for one question, if anybody has a burning question. Michael.
Were there eyewitnesses to the actual plane, like they said, crashing into the Pentagon?
At our website, we have links to eyewitness accounts. Over there, I think 80 or 90 of them. All of those that have been traced by others to who these people are related to the military. And I'll tell you how ridiculous their eyewitness accounts. One of them says he observed the passengers of the plane as it flew past him over Virginia Highway 27 towards the air. There's 150 yards. That is done in 0.44 seconds. No, 0.6 seconds. You try to look into a Boeing 757 parked at the airport, and you have a friend boarding, can you look inside and see who the path? You can't, let alone one going at 530 miles an hour. So there are many such reports. There are other reports that are very interesting, and these have been dealt in with great detail from two guys calling themselves Citizen Investigation Team, and they've done a good job of that. And they have talked to, there's a picture of a taxi with a lamp pole through it, and that's supposed to prove that the plane hit that lamp pole and knocked it over. Well, that pole, imagine here's the hood of the taxi, here's the windshield. That pole is sticking through the taxi back into the seats, and there's no damage to the hood. I mean, a pole cannot fall that way. The Citizen Investigation Team tracked that guy. His wife works for the Pentagon. He was, in his videotaped account of all that, he was caught in a lie, which the Citizen Investigation Team goes into in great detail. There were some security officers from the Pentagon, all their uniforms, giving testimony that swear up and down that they saw a plane flying north of a gas station that is within a few hundred yards of the Pentagon. The official account says south of the gas station. And these are security people. They saw a plane, but that's probably the plane that flew over the Pentagon, which the flight data recorder shows. That the flight data recorder data that the government released shows the plane flying over the Pentagon, not hitting the Pentagon.
What about the loop-de-loops? Somebody reported that, remember?
What do you mean by that?
There was a jet that was going loop-de-loop up in Washington at that time? Before the crash?
There are so many other things. You know, what I try to do is boil it down to the bare minimum I need to discredit the official account.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be joining us for dinner afterwards?
Yeah.
Great.
How late is dinner?
It's not going to be too late. We're going to have a spaghetti dinner. Enver Masud will be there at our spaghetti dinner. And thank you, Mr. Masud. Great. Author of 9/11 Unveiled. I got my copy. All right. And you have books for sale? Right?
Oh, well, yeah, the book, if you want it on the internet, it's a free download, and if you want to buy it, it's there also.
Great. Awesome.
Title.
The title is on 9/11 Unveiled.
If you go to the website, twf.org, you'll see the picture. Just click on the picture, and the book starts downloading.
Great. Our next speaker is Dr. Paul Zaremka, professor of economics at SUNY Buffalo. Mr. Zaremka and I are friends who also have spoken at Left Forum, trying to build a bridge between the establishment left and 9/11 truth. And recently, Paul has published in Socialism and Democracy a very interesting study of Karl Marx's 18th Brumaire of Louis Napoleon, which gets which addresses the fact that even Karl Marx was very much interested in the conspiracy of the ruling class and the terror of the bourgeoisie. So, without further ado, Paul Zaremka. Sure.
Okay. Okay. Let me. I kind of thought I would be toward the end rather than toward the beginning, and it makes kind of a difference because what I'm doing is kind of throwing some cold water on what I think this is about. I mean, it was advertised to me to be about maybe starting a truth party and maybe trying to bring the left and the right together.